They say good things come to those who wait. How's it going, everybody? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And let me know in the comment section down below, when was the last time that you waited a while? Maybe it was months, maybe it was years, and you waited, and then the knife released and you were actually satisfied. Let me know. While you're down there, if you could smack up that like button and let YouTube know that you enjoy knife content. Today, we're talking about a knife that I talked about for months in my live stream. Those live streams happen every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And in those live streams, I said it could potentially be the best budget button lock of 2023. Now, that's a bold statement to make. What does best mean? But listen, I've got reasons for asking that question, and today we're going to go over it. We're going to check it out. Let's find out. Is this Civivi, in fact, the best budget button lock of 2023? Let's go.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Oh man, I've been waiting for this knife for a long time, guys. And if you're wondering which Civivi it is in fact the Sentinel Strike. That's right, I've been waiting for this one for a while, and yeah, we're gonna go ahead and skip the unboxing, because if you've seen the unboxing of one Civivi, you've seen them all, and that's a fact. So I went ahead and took it out of the box for you. I know, you're welcome. Today, we're going to talk about just how good it is. This is one of those knives that I truly thought was going to be the best budget button lock. And just so you know what I mean when I say budget, I mean anything under $100. If it's under $100 here in 2023, that is what I consider to be budget. If you don't, that's fine. And if you want to know what this costs currently, they are actually still available, at least on Blade HQ, for $85. And if you want one, by the time you're done watching this, I will have it linked in the description as well as in the pinned comment. First, we're going to start off with the specs. We'll do some comparisons. We'll talk about what I like, and then we'll talk about what I don't like. And I'll let you decide, is this in fact the best budget button lock of 2023? Let's go ahead and get into the specs. We're looking at an overall length of about 8.6 inches. The blade length is going to be coming in at 3.7. That blade is, of course, made out of K110 steel. The handle length is right just about 5 inches. It's about 4.9. It's going to weigh very, very light. It's coming in at 3.5 ounces. That's right. We're talking 8.6 inches overall. It only weighs 3.5 ounces. How do they make that happen? How do they achieve that? Well, it's because these handle scales are made out of aluminum with what they're calling an integral backspacer made out of FRN. We do have a stamped steel pocket clip here. The pivot is a single-sided Civivi pivot, captive, of course, running on bearings, and that pocket clip is what I'm assuming would be reversible, because it's attached at the top here to this attitude adjuster, or I guess if you want to call it such, it's a glass breaker. We are looking at T8 on the pivot, T6 on the body screws. It's got these little speed holes here, and of course it is a button lock. You can deploy it when one of many ways. You can use the flipper tab, you can use the thumb studs, you can use the deployment hole, and it's very smooth. This is what they're calling a reverse Tonto blade, but I would actually call that a Warncliffe. If you want to disagree, feel free to do so and exercise your First Amendment in the comment section down below. Let's do some quick comparisons. First and foremost, one that I think is very relevant to show off just how big this knife is. This is the CJRB Large Pyrite. And that's a really good comparison because they're almost identical as far as the length. What about the carry profile in the pocket? Oh yeah, they're nearly identical there as well. Blade profile, yeah, very, very close on that blade profile. Maybe you don't have a CJRB large pyrite. Maybe you've got a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. It's going to be ever so slightly longer than the Paramilitary 2. Carry profile is going to be dead on as far as the width of those handle scales. Let's talk about what I like about this knife. This is one that I was super excited for because I love this blade shape. This blade shape is very utilitarian. I also really like the fact that they said, screw it, let's go ahead and put in a full forward finger choil. That's right, you can fit your meaty sausage fingers all the way up here on this blade, and you can choke all the way up. That also allows for one hell of a pinch grip, which is going to be perfect for utility cuts. The spine of the blade is not thick at all. In fact, I would say if you're going to compare it against something like the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, I would actually make the argument that it's a little bit slimmer. It's a full flat grind, just like the Paramilitary 2, and it gets really thin here behind the edge. This is going to be perfect for slicing. Now, they did something that I've been asking for a very long time. They made it with aluminum handle scales. Hallelujah. Can I get an amen?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, the reason why I like aluminum is there's actually a couple reasons. The first is that it's light. The second is that it's rust resistant. The third is that you can anodize it, which means that it's great for customizing. And it's also very, very tough and durable. This being a button lock knife, you don't need it to be super heavy duty because you don't generally use button lock knives for super heavy duty tasks. This is going to be something that slays your Amazon boxes and takes them apart afterwards when your wife starts complaining. This is going to be one of those knives that you carry with you, and you can in fact put these in your gym shorts because it is so light, and because it has this ambidextrous deep carry pocket clip, it's going to slide in and out. Another thing that I really like about it is the fact that we have a full body length backspacer, and this is what they call an integral backspacer. It's made out of FRN, which is a tough and light compound material, and it actually screws in to the aluminum chassis. That's awesome, because when you have a blade this big, just shy of 4 inches long, that's a lot of edge that could easily get damaged by other crap in your pockets, but not with this backspacer. This backspacer is going to do a pretty good job of protecting the edge of that blade. They have milled out holes here as well, and that's going to help with some weight reduction. But let's go ahead and get back to this pocket clip. This is what I've been asking Civivi for a long time. I've been asking for something other than their standard stamped steel pocket clip. For reference, here is another Civivi Sencut product. This is the Sencut Crowley, and it wasn't that long ago that almost all Civivi and Sencut products had this terrible pocket clip design, and it's ugly. It's functional, it's deep carry, but it's ugly, guys. And this Crowley is by far and away nowhere near as good as this Civivi. Now, Civivi has recently handed over the reins of their super budget line to Sencut. You're going to see more semi-premium knives like this one right here that's made with semi-premium materials. Aluminum is such an underrated material. You do see it on things like Microtech knives. Microtech uses it because it's a very good, tough material that's lightweight and it's easy to manufacture. So the materials are in line. The cost at $85, well, that's one of those personal things that you just have to figure out for yourself. Is this too much for a knife with K110 steel? Because K110 steel is very similar to D2, but it's made by Bowler, and Bowler does a phenomenal job. I've asked other people if it's just me or if Bowler K110 acts like D2 should act, but it just always seems to outperform D2, and everyone agrees, even though technically they're very close, if not identical, the Bowler K110 will almost always outperform D2 blade steel. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've run into that yourself. I really appreciate the fact that even though this is a full-size knife and you can get a full-size chonky grip on this bad boy, that it's not overbearing in the pocket. It's easy to carry. I did try these in shorts, in gym shorts, in fact, and it did not weigh the shorts down at all. It's slim enough to not make a difference as far as the carry is concerned, and I really, really like that. Some of you might be looking at this and saying, hey, that kind of looks like the wee Ziphius. And it does. I've heard some people compare this as a poor man's Ziphius, but honestly, with a different blade shape and some slightly different patterning on the handle scales, I would say that while it's similar, it's very similar, it's more like a cousin rather than a poor man's version. And quite honestly, I like this blade shape better than the drop point that you get on the Ziphius, so there's that as well. Now, it's not all fun and games and sunshine. I'll be the first to tell you that there are a few things that I do not love about this specific knife. Let's start off talking about the deployment mechanisms. There's too many. Some of you are going to disagree with me and say, no, I need the thumb hole and the thumb stud and the flipper tab. And you know what? Why didn't they just go ahead and throw in a front flipper while they were at it? Guys, here's my deal. I would have preferred if they had gone with just the thumb hole or just the thumb stud. One or the other. I'm cool with the flipper tab, but to be quite honest with you, I could have done without it. I don't hate having it there. It's just one of those things where I don't need it. I think that there's too much going on here to deploy this knife, and I thought it would be really cool if they had said, you know what, let's make some that have just the thumb hole and some that have just the thumb stud, and let the people decide for themselves which one we should make more of. That would have been, well, it would have been pretty cool. But they didn't do that. They said, you just throw the kitchen sink at everybody as far as deployment options, and no one can say that we didn't give them their favorite option. The problem that I have with that is that personally, I would have preferred just the thumb hole and the flipper tab, because thumb studs tend to get in the way when I go to sharpen the knife. I don't want anything in that path. Now, luckily, in this scenario, because the thumb stud is back here and because we have that really big forward finger choil, it means that you're not really going to run into that. But still, it just feels a little too busy for me. And for that price point, I'm trying to think of a button lock that beats this. You know, there's really, really good $50 and $60 button locks from CJRB, but none of them have really paid this much attention. You know, for example, I think that this CJRB large Pirate is wonderful, especially in the steel, but it's heavy. You're not putting this in your gym shorts. They're about the same size, but I would much rather carry this as far as light carry than this. The steel handle scales are good, but you don't have a back spacer. The pocket clip is serviceable, but it's not nearly as good looking or as functional as this one. Something that I haven't mentioned so far is the fact that you do in fact get a glass breaker on here. The hard part about glass breakers is that they're functional for about 3% of people that will carry this knife. And I am, of course, talking about first responders, police officers, firefighters, and the like. For the rest of us, we don't really use glass breakers except in extreme emergencies. So it is nice to have it in a pinch, but that's not really going to occur much. When you don't need it, you want it out of the way, and they really succeeded, because even in a reverse grip, that's really, really not that bad. You can put your thumb over the back of it and cap it off in a reverse grip, and that's going to do just fine. Speaking of the grips, the ergonomics are fantastic. You do get some jimping here as well. I do kind of wish that they had extended that out, especially with the existence of that forward finger choil, because that saber grip is perfect. You're going to have the ability to have really great control. All of your utility cuts are going to be a dream with this knife. I think that that's fantastic. And you know what? I waited a couple days to make this video because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just being all hype. This is, in my opinion, so far, the best budget button lock under $100. Is it worth it? Can you get a great budget button lock for $50? Absolutely. And if you're looking for one a little bit cheaper, I would in fact suggest this one. However, if you're willing to spend a little bit more, I can tell you that that money is 100% worth it. I'm interested, of course, to find out what you think in the comment section down below. And if you want to see another video on an even less expensive button lock that I also think is fantastic, make sure you click the video that pops up next.